Good morning. We are back talking some heroic disgrace. Oh, can you see it? The light's so bright. That's why we're here talking with Scott Box. How you doing this morning?
Doing great.
Good?
I'm digging the hair, dude.
I'm mid-hair right now, so bear with me. It sucks. It's going to get bigger and bushier. And
you got to just go head on with the camera.
Does it even fit on the screen?
It might not. Yeah, dude, man.
Yeah, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Well, I mentioned that because I have this problem going on.
Good hair. It's always the same.
And I can't even do this, so...
Why? Come on.
I'm less a man than you.
You don't try.
No.
You got to try.
It doesn't come in.
Little stubble. Man. You need one of those big mustaches. That's what you need.
A red mustache. That would be good for me.
Yeah.
Although we do this in...
Trim it up.
Yeah, we do this in black and white, so that wouldn't... that wouldn't translate.
It's the way we look better. You don't get to see how tan he is.
Dude, you should totally right. You should totally just let that go and have mustache only.
I have tried. I can't get out of the bathroom. I've shaved it up, but I cannot get out of the bathroom. I can't take it seriously. I look in the mirror and I'm just laughing and I can't do it. Then I shave it all off and then I have to start over again. So this is a refined look. It's taken me years to get to this point. I'm going to grow the hair out now. It's going to be big and ridiculous and who knows what. So back to real things. Heroic disgrace. Man, I feel like we haven't seen each other in a while, but
it has been a little
life
while.
Is amazing.
Episodes have been coming out.
Yes,
episodes have been
job.
good, but yeah, you've been out. You've been across America.
Drove 6,500 miles.
Yeah,
in 2 weeks.
And you have stories to tell too, so man. That's so cool.
So many stories. But today, we're going to talk the subsection Diagnose Me, because I know you're following along. And we're going to mix it together with bipolar basics. Yeah. Because what I want to know is how you first became diagnosed, when you got diagnosed, when you got help, right? And then walk us through that and then kind of break down what the bipolar disorder symptoms are.
Mm-hmm. Carrie Ann and I didn't understand what was going on early in our marriage. So we were married when I was 22, she was 20, and things progressively got more difficult as time went on. And when I say as time went on, I mean over the course of really between I was 25 to 30 in particular. The first years were tough, but that was kind of you're just getting married. But we didn't understand what we thought was everybody was dealing with this stuff.
Right.
You know, right? Every young married couple was dealing with whatever it was that we were dealing with.
Which they do, by the way.
Yeah.
So if you're a young
everybody
married couple,
has to...
You got to know, you do deal with a lot of things.
Right.
You've never lived with someone before usually that you're trying to love.
My goodness. There's so many things. And some of the things are just amazingly wonderful to have to learn and you experience together. It's marvelous. But one of the things that we didn't understand were the incredible highs which for me really existed in what we've learned, hypomania. Right. And then you hear about depression nowadays, but even back then, depression wasn't much of a thing that we talked about. And so I didn't even have a category for what it was that I was experiencing.
Right.
And neither did Carrie Ann. And so by the time I was 28, 29, we were looking to adopt a child, and we went to a psychologist. And this is when I just say we kind of just stumbled into a counselor.
Right.
And that's when, after the course of about a year, the diagnosis came. And it was, by that point in time, an absolute relief.
So it was the counselor that kind of pulled some red flags?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the way that I know that it typically works, and there was an aspect of this that was involved, I knew things were not healthy, but and I did want a counselor, but I wasn't looking for a diagnosis.
Right,
I wasn't looking
to
know what was wrong with me. Right. I wanted to fix Carrie Ann.
It was her problem.
It was her problem.
It's always the man's fault.
Oh, yes. Except I didn't want to, accept that reality. Or
it's a team effort.
The man's fault.
But I can jest in this and say it's always the woman's fault, but the women know it's always the man's fault. This is just how it goes. Hi, we're two different beings, legitimately. So you wanted her to get fixed. But the doctor was like, yeah, you're probably the one needs a little fixing.
Yeah.
So
and if anything,
this could have gone on forever without you knowing.
It could have gone on forever.
Okay, so you find out.
Or until it ended.
Right.
That's we always say, Carrie Ann and I wouldn't have gotten divorced. That wasn't a thing.
Right.
But absolutely.
But it would have been bad. You don't want a bad relationship.
Well, and divorce would have, it wasn't an option.
Right.
But I don't know how long Carrie Ann could have lasted with me.
Well, it would have been unhealthy. There would have been less and less time spent together and all those things. So, okay, so you go and you get diagnosed. How did that go? What did they tell you? What were your symptoms? What did you have that were red flags to them? Yeah,
so the thing that they explain, and I'm not a doctor, so the way that I understand what bipolar is that there's a chemical imbalance in your brain. And so those chemicals, if you can, as a part of the diagnosis, then introduce medication that can help the neurotransmitters reconnect so that it becomes a chemical balance in your head again. You can adjust, but there's also lifestyle things that must happen.
Right.
And
well, what were the lifestyle things they were having red flags about? Like you filled out kind of a paper, a questionnaire kind of how to adopt a child or whatever. Yeah. And they're like, hey, you got to go see a counselor just for reference. What were those things they were like, we don't know if you're going to pass this? What were some of the ways they figured that out?
I see your question. Okay. Well, definitely they understood. It's amazing when the counselors understand what hypomania looks like. I didn't know what hypomania looked like,
right.
but hypomania were those times where things were grandiose.
Right.
You know, I thought I was smarter than everybody. Right. I thought I was more talented. I could write better music than people. I was the best guitarist. And I'm sure they just saw me when I came in, and I would be amped. I'd be amped, fidgety. You're right. And then on other times, there would be just the
depression. Yeah.
And all of it was connected. There were aspects of impulsivity and irritation that they could pick up on. Yeah. And I didn't know. I lived life pissed off.
Right. Yeah.
I just lived life pissed off because I was either on the way up or on the way down.
Right.
And there were those brief moments that we've talked about in hypomania land that were glorious.
Yeah.
And I lived for those because they were a drug. Mm-hmm. They called me back. But ultimately, so anyway, to answer your question, that's what I was experiencing. That's what they saw.
So they would see your demeanor. Were there questions they would ask you that would pinpoint? Like,
I'm sure there were, but I don't remember what those questions were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So then you have your diagnosis, the bipolar 1 versus bipolar 2. Do you want to break that down a little bit? And
sure.
Where you landed on that?
Yeah. So there's a spectrum as far as I understand it. I have had a friend who was bipolar 1, which my understanding is that there's effectively, again, I'm not a doctor, but there's a manic break at some point where somebody is experiencing mania and then they break. They need to be hospitalized. They need to go get professional help in a hospital to whether it's medication or whether it's counseling, I don't know, but it needs to be dealt with in the hospital. That's bipolar 1. And I think it is really, they define it or diagnose it based on, has there been that experience, that specific thing? If not, then my understanding again is that with me, there has to be at least 1 or 2, I forget, of a hypomania experience that then puts you on this spectrum, or that helps place you on the spectrum rather.
Right.
And that then is bipolar 2. Now there's all sorts of different signs that go along with that. There's some things called rapid cycling, where you're cycling within hours, not just days or weeks, but within hours you're high and then low.
Super happy, then super depressed.
So man,
up and down, and one thing will bring you into happiness, and one thing will take you out.
And a lot of these things really go into some of the things that people identify as probably aspects to diagnose are some of the self-medicated. The things that you self-medicate with.
Right, of course. So now a lot of things, I know what I would see would amp that, super highs and super lows and back and forth would be drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, so, and sex.
Right.
Whatever it is that you can do.
Trying to cover up the problem with another problem, essentially.
Yeah, spending boatloads of money. You know, people will just get insane amounts of credit card debt.
Right.
So
trying to fix the problem.
Yeah. Right.
So you then, you became in need of help in this situation. Yeah. So what happened then? They diagnosed you with this, and then what did you do? Go to a different doctor or a different counselor, or?
So there's the counseling. This is I think this could be helpful for people, that there's a counselor that, in our case, she happened to be a psychologist. Perfect. So something
who cannot administer prescriptions, correct, but a psychiatrist can.
Correct.
I learned this from my own situation.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. And in line with a psychiatrist is a psychiatric nurse practitioner who effectively is the same. They can also prescribe. So I saw a practitioner, and same office, worked in tandem with our counselor, our psychologist. I named them in the book, and they're part of the family in so many ways. They didn't save our family. I mean, that's
in God's hands, of course.
Absolutely.
But I do know what you mean, that they were someone. Yes. They were the life preserver when you were bobbing in the ocean.
Yeah, and God allowed them to be a part of the saving.
Right, of course.
You know?
Isn't that awesome how he does that? God orchestrates things and people in our lives and situations that we might not be aware of at the time to help us and to be there for us in that time of need. I mean, we can all look through, and I encourage you to do this, look through your life at times when you did not see a way out of it, but then right in the nick of time, there's a perfect way out of it.
So when I was in I wasn't in Maui. I was on Oahu.
Okay.
So we were, what's the name of the beach? Waikiki.
Okay.
So we're at Waikiki Beach playing baseball, and we had gone there for a baseball trip. And I'll make it quick. We went out, and Waikiki is one of those beaches that goes forever.
Nice.
It's like the water does. Like you can walk out into the water at knee height forever, and then waist, you're at the waist forever. But then once you get out there, there's not many waves either. So I was wave hunting.
Yeah.
And I just got way the heck out, and I got stuck in a riptide, which I knew how to deal with.
Right.
But I panicked, and there was anyway, I was seconds away from done. Right. I was seconds away, and I heard this voice, hey, you need a rest? Yeah, I need a rest. And this board just kind of glides right next to my right arm, and I instinctively just doosh. And sure enough, it was a lifeguard. Wow. I think.
A guardian angel?
Because
some random beach boy?
I was with a buddy, and he didn't know. Anyway,
God's divine appointment.
Yeah, the guy was like, hey, put your head down.
Yeah.
Swim 10 seconds this way. Just count.
Yeah.
Sideways, the whole thing. I knew, but I'd forgotten. And you'll be safe. You'll just put your feet down. You'll be good.
We need to stop running away from the problem.
Wow.
Okay. And go alongside the problem. Okay. To become better people. To persevere. This is how God brings about patience in our lives and perseverance. and I believe this 100%. You're going along, this riptide catches you. You need to go alongside the riptide to escape it. You can't go against it or into it. Like, there's no fighting.
There's no getting back to the shore. You can't fight
in like alongside. Right. So I think God is always alongside of us. I know this for fact.
I like that.
But God sets up these divine appointments. So you were diagnosed. You have your diagnosis. Yeah. You then have your prescription, which then changes everything. We're going to jump into that in the next subsection. So join us for that. But what's your final thought on this?
Part of that passing or cutting the sideways, that I like that. One of the things that I practically adjusted in my life was consistency, a focus on consistency rather than blasting through, toward the shore, which is I'm going to get this done. Or I'm going to fix this problem, or trying to swim out to the ocean, whatever it was.
Run away from it.
Yeah.
Stop running away from it.
For me, exactly. For me, it was, no. I'm going to figure out how to dial in some consistency into my life. And there's more that we need to unpack on that. But my final thought is simply that in order to be healthy, there are aspects of consistency that we must include, even if we don't have a diagnosis in our life, and especially if we do.
I like that. So consistency brings stability. Consistency breeds efficiency, is what I always say in the shop. If I do the same thing the right way, I will get better at it. Okay?
Very good.
So let's do things the right way. Let's figure out what's wrong with us. If there is something wrong with us, by the way, if we're not healthy, let's explore this and try to get healthy, right? Because God makes healthy at every different aspect of our lives in different ways, okay? I'm not a doctor, again, but there are fixes for all the things, okay? And there is a way to build into our lives health, right?
God makes healthy what he doesn't heal.
Exactly. Heroic Disgrace with author Scott Box. I hope you can see it because our lights are awesome, but you can also see it on Amazon, anywhere books are sold. You can check us out on Facebook, anywhere social media is accessible. Maybe even on Twitter. Good old Elon maybe opened it up so we can do some Twitter stuff. That can be edited out if you want. But either way, hey, love you, man, and we'll catch you guys soon.
Thanks, Clint.